What's up guys, Handish here, and today I wanted to jump in and talk about some stuff in Destiny 2. Specifically, I want to speak about some stuff that is maybe missing from the game, some stuff that doesn't feel quite right at the moment, and we're going to talk about community feedback, concerns that I see a lot, but some of you guys may be thinking, here we go, we're going to start complaining about Destiny again, but for me personally, I think the game's in a really exciting place. Of course, we've had a lot of news about the future of Bungie and Activision, and Bungie are going to be thinking about how they provide content for Destiny 2 and whatever comes after that, so I think now is a really good time for feedback and a good cross-section of feedback because, you know, we've got a lot of good content in the game. In many respects, Destiny is in a better place than it's ever been. And all of us at the end of the day, we want a really good game and we want to see Bungie succeed. But of course, when it comes to giving feedback, these opinions are just mine, so definitely let me know yours below. I'm trying my best to represent community issues, but I am just one person, and just because I have this particular platform doesn't make my opinion any more important than yours. And I always say that because, well, it's plain and simply the truth, isn't it? So definitely let me know your thoughts down below. So I want to give some feedback. Let's start with this right here. Now these look pretty cool, don't they? Some of you guys who played Destiny 1 will definitely remember these. We're talking about armor ornaments. Now we pretty much haven't had these inside of Destiny 2. That's not to say that stuff inside of Destiny 2 doesn't look good, but in terms of raw emotional response, which really is the best thing I can give, you know, I'm not a game developer, I'm a gamer. The way I feel is that in Destiny 1, I felt truly badass when I looked something like this. And despite having some cool looking stuff in Destiny 2, I've never had that same feeling because of what I'm wearing in this game. So I think there's a really big opportunity, and if Bungie were to put out a trailer in a couple of weeks' time where we saw a warlock looking, you know, something like this, I think a lot of players would be very excited to jump in and play, and a lot of players would be thrilled that we would be seeing this kind of cosmetic, but of course I do mean end game rewards, or gameplay rewards at the very least. Massive opportunity in my opinion. I really hope this is something Bungie are looking at for the future. Next though, let's speak about a topic that's been brought up a lot in the community recently, time gates and content lockouts. Now this is kind of a complicated one, and it works on a number of different levels. Some players are kind of frustrated when they know that we're going to get X things, so The Last Word for example, but it's not coming until the end of January. And that's something that's much more difficult for Bungie to actually control, you know? Bungie are trying to pace out content that they've created to ensure that players have, you know, something to do week over week in the game, and that's kind of the model with the annual pass. And so naturally there will be stuff that we end up seeing that they're going to put on the timeline, so some of it is kind of unavoidable. However, there is another side of time gating, that would be with certain elements like the quest for the Izanagi's Burden. Of course, you need to complete Shattered Throne. That is on a time gate, it only rolls around every 3 weeks, but then it is coupled with the RNG of receiving the rare bounty. If you didn't get that rare bounty on the week that that quest dropped, or you didn't already have one in the inventory, then you're going to end up waiting 3 weeks for Shattered Throne, and you still need that RNG element for the bounty. I definitely feel like this kind of mechanic is really frustrating for players, and I'm not attacking Bungie by saying this is a problem. They're working in a different format with the annual pass, so this is simply my feedback on this kind of content. There's also the issue where certain new content may require a particular power level, and naturally that is frustrating for anyone who can't access content that they've actually purchased. Bungie are looking into that. They've also confirmed that there won't be any time gates on the Last Word quest, so it's absolutely something that Bungie are aware of, and hopefully we'll see improvements on that in the future. Exotic RNG and the drop rates for those, especially Year 2 exotics, has been another point of frustration though. I don't want to give too much redundant feedback on this because of course we are getting Xur bounties in the next season, and as far as we know, this is to help improve that exotic drop rate, or to provide more predictable routes to actually obtaining them. The one thing that I think a lot of players would also like to have though, would be the ability to re-roll exotics in some capacity, whether it was glass needles, or whether it was improved drop rates once you'd acquired an exotic. I think there needs to be a little bit more regular access to that stuff, and hopefully those bounties will be a part of that. But outside of quest RNG for exotics, there is another side of RNG, and that would include the title system, and there's been feedback about this already. Once again, I'm not a game designer, but the raw emotion side of it, if I take something like Cursebreaker for example, you've got quite a lot of week-to-week predictable stuff that you have to keep track of. It's a fairly big investment to pick up a title like Cursebreaker, but a lot of players still, after many months, are completely locked out of these kind of titles because of RNG. You also have this problem in the raid. There are folks who've done flawless Petra's runs and then can't obtain a title because they don't have a ghost shell. This kind of RNG at a certain point simply isn't fun, and while I don't know how much they can really do about the current titles, absolutely I think moving forward there should be more opportunities, different ways to acquire the titles, and at the higher end I would love to see more skill-based pursuits and challenges in place of RNG. That's my personal opinion. Let me know your thoughts below. Now though, let's move away from systems for a moment. Another thing that we had in Destiny 1 and we don't have right now would be exotic class items. Sure, Bungie could go ahead and add a couple of these in as a throwaway kind of thing, but I actually think there's an opportunity to do something really cool. I'd love to see exotic class items return, but how about pinnacle exotic class items? It'd be really cool to see these for different types of content. You know, it could be Vanguard, it could be raids, it could be PvP, or even Gambit, and it'd be really cool to get some unique visuals on them, but also have them provide really cool exotic bonuses, whether they affected gameplay or maybe even affected the economy. Players would love to see exotic class items return, but with even more meaning. I think that would be really cool. Something that we didn't get in Destiny 1 though, and was a really great innovation for Destiny 2, would be the introduction of exotic catalysts. So of course in Warmind we got a load of different catalysts for existing exotics, and then since that with Forsaken we've been waiting on a few of the Year 1 catalysts to roll out into the game, but we also currently don't have any Year 2 catalysts in the game, and my assumption is that Bungie are working on these for a future release. But I think the whole community can definitely agree in saying that Bungie shouldn't sleep on this system. Exotic catalysts in general were a fantastic introduction, they provided more progression, and Bungie should absolutely get new ones into the game as soon as possible. Now there's one area which I haven't spoken about, and that would be some economy stuff, and specifically I want to speak about enhancement cores again. I've been pretty persistent when it comes to enhancement cores. I feel like the community in general is a little bit frustrated by this economy, and maybe I'm more frustrated, but the infusion requirement for enhancement cores, in my opinion, simply shouldn't be there. Bungie introduced this in Forsaken, and while it was frustrating for a while, I was kind of like, you know, let's see how it goes, let's see if they bring more ways to get them dropped. But now, many months in, I think the whole system needs a little bit of love. Masterworking gear definitely requires too much effort when you also require enhancement cores for all of your infusion. Separate to whether they should be required for infusion, I feel like enhancement cores should have more predictable sources in the game, because currently I feel like it's pretty high effort to obtain them considering the amount of satisfaction that they actually bring in the kind of loop of the game. And it makes me think back to when we got strange coins from Heroic Strikes in Destiny 1. I think it'd be great if Bungie added enhancement core drops for particular activity clears. You know, first Heroic of the Week grants you 3 enhancement cores, first Nightfall gives you 5. And the reason I think that this should happen is because in the previous season, if you were playing comp, especially when Triple Valor was on, you'd get a ton of enhancement cores dropped. And the difference between a PvE and a pure PvP player in that scenario was absolutely massive. I've got a friend who plays nothing but PvP, and he has well over 1,000 enhancement cores because of that. And despite the fact that in the game right now it's bugged in PvP and we're not getting those dropped when we do Valor rank ups, the difference between pure PvE and pure PvP players was absolutely massive in acquiring enhancement cores, so I don't see why it would hurt to add larger numbers of enhancement core drops to particular activities. Being able to upgrade gear more regularly would provide just a little bit more player satisfaction and gratification on a shorter term basis, in my opinion. So to summarize, for enhancement cores, honestly, I think the infusion thing is tiring, and I think outside of that, there need to be more ways to get them that don't feel as high effort as they do right now, but let me know if you feel differently. So that would be the bulk of the feedback I wanted to give about the game. Of course, Bungie's next big stop will be Joker's Wild. They're currently collecting feedback about Gambit, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't play a ton of Gambit right now, so I wouldn't really want to comment on the mechanics of Gambit. I would, however, love to see more Gambit-specific gear and perks, and this is something that's been brought up a little bit, but if you do have opinions about Gambit, definitely comment below. I'll also link Bungie's feedback thread, but I would like to pose a question to some of you guys about solo matchmaking for Gambit. Do you think that actually has a place in the mode? I see a lot of frustration about solo players versus teams, so if you have an opinion about that and whether there should be, you know, maybe a solo playlist, if that's even possible with the population, I'm not sure how good of an experience that would be, but I'd love to get your feedback about that down below, and any other feedback about the next installment in the annual pass and content that you'd personally like to see. So guys, for now, that is going to summarize today's video. A little bit of feedback, a few things that have been on my mind, some standout stuff in the game, but of course, this isn't every possible issue with the game, and there are other things that folks are talking about quite a lot, so definitely let me know your opinions about those down below. As I said before, the next few months are going to be pretty huge for Bungie. They have a lot of opportunities to improve the game. There's also a lot of stuff that they're probably gonna want to do in order to bring players back for the next game or the next big installment, whatever exactly that is going to be. And as long as they maintain the quality bar throughout the content that they produce and then continue to take feedback and innovate on that, then we should be in a pretty good spot. But once again, let me know your thoughts on anything in the game that's really annoying. You know, it could be matchmaking in PvP, sandbox tuning, drop rates of certain gear, or even story delivery going forward, so definitely comment down below. If you have enjoyed this video though, a rating is appreciated. If you're new to the channel and you want to see more Destiny content moving forward, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. But for now, whatever you get up to, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.